p.m. Under discussion of the following matters.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, good evening, good afternoon. We have some guests here with LNG engineers. They thought they were in the cold seat, but I think they're in the hot seat on that corner. I told you guys to move on the other side. But anyhow, I know it's been long overdue that we've been asking or trying to get something going with the precinct to maybe get together so that they can give us a status update as to what's going on or where we are with the project, the road improvements on Cesar Chavez. Chairman, what's his name, Administrator Mando Garza is right around the corner. Unless you guys want to get started with that, with the presentation, we're opening it up to you all. Sure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all giving us the time to come here and talk about this great project. One of the largest projects in the tenure with the MPO. So real quick, we've got it broken down into two sections. Section 1 is from Business 83 to Nolana Loop. Section 2 is from Ridge Road to Business 83. And can we get, or is everybody looking on here, or do you want to look on the screen too?
I'm fine here. I don't know the rest of the group.
I'm sorry.
Follow?
It's up to you.
Yeah.
Coach doesn't have one.
You don't have one?
You don't have one?
You have one, right? You have one?
Speak of the devil, here we go.
Mr. Garza?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So on slide 2, we have the location map, which shows our limits. The project is approximately 3.6 miles, and it's straddled between San Juan on the west side and Alamo on the east side. And we go to slide 3, it shows you pretty much our existing typical section on this project is a 2-lane rural road where you have the drainage on roadside ditches above ground. You know, when it rains a lot, you see the water puddling and everything. If we go to the next slide, we have our proposed typical sections, which is what we're proposing to build. So from Ridge Road to Business 83, we have, we're building from Ridge Road to Business 83, and then from Nebraska to Nolana, skipping that section in the middle, we're building what we call a 4-lane, which is really 5 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction with a center turn lane, urban roadway, meaning we have curb and gutter, and we have a storm drain system, which means the water will be collected in inlets and taken underground, so you don't have standing water anymore on the sides of the roads, and much nicer facility. And on the next slide, in between Business 83 and Nebraska, so we did a traffic study, and the numbers came back that there's so much traffic in between the section, we were able to justify a 6-lane section. So we're going to have 3 lanes in each direction. Picture Ware Road, picture Nolana, picture 107 in Edinburgh. Really great news that we can widen this and apply the federal funding to it. All the numbers backed it up, so TxDOT was totally on board with it. So you're going to have a real pretty section of 6-laning in between Business 83 and Nebraska, right there where the Walmart is and the Bank of America and everything, and the Pulga on the north side. So where are we right now on the project development activities? So for section 1, we've created this project, the county has created this project and secured MPO funding. They've executed AFAs, as you are well aware, with your city and with Alamo. We were able to accelerate the right-of-way funds. Originally they were in fiscal year 2022, now we've moved them up to fiscal year 2020. So fiscal year for the MPO means September. So September of 19, those monies are ready. For section 1, we've accelerated the construction funds from 2036 to 2027. And Mayor, as you well know, that year is great, but moving these projects to get them shovel ready, you know what they said. Everybody who's ready, you're moving up. So as soon as we can get these ready, that 2027 year can move up to 2020, 2021, 2022.
Well, that should be the goal. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
obviously.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay.
We've received TxDOT authority to process everything due to that acceleration of the funding. So TxDOT is on board with all of the submittals and reviews of those submittals. We've held a public meeting last summer in July, had a great public meeting, no opposition. Everybody basically said, when are we getting started? You know, nobody said anything negative to the project. We've submitted our schematics to TxDOT for approval, so everything is in TxDOT's hands.
Bobby, can I stop you there?
Sure.
I have a quick question. You mentioned you had a public meeting in Alamo?
At
The middle school?
Alamo Middle School.
And why wasn't it done here in the city of San Juan? Do you have,
So
and-
one of the biggest reasons that we chose San Juan Middle School
Alamo Middle School? Oh. Uh-huh.
was because it was the most centralized area where we could have a space big enough to have everybody come. That was really the only thought there. And it was right there on Cesar Chavez. And we wanted to be able to have a visual of the road there as we were doing the explanation. It was the only place big enough to house everybody. That was really the only thought process behind choosing Alamo Middle School.
Okay, all right.
I can address that. By the way, my name is Jay, I do the money, I'm engineering, to that side, everything that's engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you all for inviting me. It makes perfect sense, that's good what you're saying, you start from section 1, from Bridge Road, go to business, and from business go up to Malama. The reason it's not that way is because the original project was from business to Malama.
Correct.
There was no discussions of the Ridge Road. It was from business to Milano. So that's section 1. That's when Commissioner Cantu and you all signed a interlocal. The city of San Juan put $1 million in, so did city of Alamo for section 1, which was business to Nolana. Later on, at no cost to the city of San Juan or city of Alamo, there was an extension to the project, all at the county's cost, to go from business south to Ridge Road. So we called it section 2. That's the reason for 1 and 2.
So in essence, the limits were extended.
The limits were extended for about $8 million cost, the extension to Ridge Road, yes, of construction costs, but that was added to the project. And I'll cover the funding in just a little bit, but yes.
And
that was the
they're
reason.
separate projects.
And separate
As
projects.
far as TxDOT is concerned, they'll be awarded separately, you know, CSJ is all that
Everything is
stuff.
separate.
So that's why we kind of keep them separate, you know, so. So leading right into that on final topic on section 1 is the TxDOT has forwarded the EDC paperwork to the county, and it'll be at Tuesday's Commissioners Court meeting, which is a huge deal because that's the precursor to the AFA. So we're moving forward, we're pushing through, you know. As you know, as you get federal monies assigned to projects, they come with catches and caveats, and so we're dealing with all the bureaucratic red tape, but we're pushing forward. On section 2, which is the business to Ridge, as Bay had mentioned, we created that new project and we secured the funding. We executed an AFA amendment with the city, and basically the funding, the MPO funding, is in the same exact years as the first one. So our anticipation is to let the two projects, which means go to construction at the same time. There'll be separate awards. Hopefully a single contractor can get them, but you know, we'll see how that goes. On the south section, the business to Ridge, this one, the EDC has been executed already. So we're just waiting for the AFA to come in, and Bay will talk about the AFA in just a second.
Yes, you know, we refer to the San Juan, to the Cesar Chavez projects as Cesar Chavez corridor. Really, we're looking at it from all the way from south end, from Ridge Road to Nolana. This is a big, expensive project. The roadway is going to be built according to TxDOT's specifications. So TxDOT roads are expensive. They're built to last. They're designed for a 20-year life. The traffic projections from 83 to north of the expressway were so high that in front of the Walmart, in front of the, just north, we are going to a 6-lane facility, curb and gutter, 6-lane. It'll be a first class with TxDOT standards on building the road, as well as drainage.
Can I interrupt you, Bay, real quick? When he says 20-year life, that doesn't mean in 20 years the roadway is no good. That just means in 20 years, we might have to do an overlay. But the roadway itself we're not gonna have to do this all over again in 20 years. So just so we're clear.
Okay.
And what they allude to is that my name's Jacinto Vaso, I'm also with them. But it's much like Ware Road without the median. So it's a big section. I think it's a great section, you know. I don't think there's any other 6-lane other than the Ware Road. So it's just a matter of trying to get it well organized. Anyway.
The reason I was mentioning the 6 lanes, curb and gutter, drainage, TxDOT standards, and all of that, is that a road like that could easily cost $5.5, $6 million per mile, because you're putting quality materials. Now, what Precinct 2, what Commissioner Cantu has been able to secure through the Hidalgo County MPO is a combined $33 million of federal funds to build this corridor. Now, as you can imagine, that is quite a bit of money. The 33 million is broken down between Section 1 that you have on the Section 1 has $25.2 million. And of course, that $25.2 million is broken, as it shows here, for right-of-way cost, construction cost, and construction engineering, which is to inspect the job and to test the materials for the job. So you have $25.2 million for Section 1, and on the next page, almost $8 million, $7.85 million for Section 2. So combined, you're looking at a $33 million construction project. Are there any questions on funding? Okay, now, this money has been secured by Precinct 2, and the advanced funding agreements will be executed between Hidalgo County and TxDOT. What that means, it formalizes this it's already formalized, it's already approved, it's on the books. Precinct has been working with TxDOT to put it on the agreement. TxDOT is running a little bit behind on executing agreements. As a matter of fact, Commissioner Cantu was in contact with the TxDOT district engineer as of yesterday, and got a commitment for them to accelerate giving that agreement, and I'll cover that. Once that, the EDC, is everybody clear on what EDC is? Or EDC comes into the picture where these federal funds, when the county executes an agreement with TxDOT, the breaking is 80% federal funds and 20% local. Now, 20% local on 33 million could add up to a lot of money, $6 or $7 million. 20% is still a lot of money. What the legislature has done, and TxDOT has agreed, well, TxDOT better agree with the legislature. So anyway, they mandated that 20% local share needs to be reduced through the economically disadvantaged county program. So what happens is agreements are executed, and that 20% comes down to 3-4%. And when you're talking about 33 million, that makes a huge difference.
That has already been agreed upon.
On one section, the EDC is
On the big
done,
section.
and
On the small section.
on the small section.
The big section will be on Commissioner's Court on Tuesday.
Tuesday. It's on board on Tuesday. So these are becoming, one of the biggest things that happened on this project is that the construction funds was brought in 2027. Significance of that is that it's within the TxDOT's planning documents of the 10 years, and that's why TxDOT is willing to sign an agreement with the county. If it was going to be sitting outside of the 10 years, which it used to be in 2036, they would not execute agreements. So it's a huge accomplishment on the part of the county, because as you all know, MPO is a very challenging area, and I think it's about to get more challenging.
Yeah, it
the
is,
merger.
yes.
But anyway, it's been a big accomplishment, and all of that has been done. We're just waiting to formalize. Now, as far as the timelines, if I can go to the next steps, the first bullet is AFA execution. TxDOT committed to the commissioner this morning that it will be April of 2019. So we're only a few months away from getting that agreement signed. Now, $33 million of federal funds comes with $33 million of federal regulations. That's just the way things go. And one of the things that they do is that the county is not authorized to begin acquisition of land until the environmental process is complete. You're just not authorized to do that. And TxDOT has committed, county and LNG engineering has done everything they're supposed to do and have turned it over to TxDOT. TxDOT is running a little behind on some of the tasks that they do. For both sections, yes. Yes, all the technical reports have been submitted. They're running a little bit behind, or they're running maybe a lot behind in some cases. But they have made a commitment to the commissioner, which he formalized in the form of a letter, that by summer of this year, environmental will be clear. That is a huge thing, because until that happens, the county is not authorized to begin the acquisition of right-of-way. So, there are almost a little over 100 parcels to be acquired between these two sections.
100 families. Look at that one.
77 parcels on section 1 and 22 on section 2. So, and then, things get divided and all that. So it's about 100, a little over 100 parcels. County cannot begin acquisition until environmental is clear this summer. We had only one or...
There's one that's...
Yeah, that may be because
it's
of proximity. Yeah. No, we've kind of...
And that's on the Alamo side.
correct.
Yeah, you wanna clarify EDC on construction and right of way?
Well, I just did the EDC.
But on the.
Oh, on the, between the right of... Okay, there is a difference, yes, that's a very good point. The EDC that I mentioned, where the 20% gets reduced to 3-4% for the county, is only for construction and for construction engineering, which is your inspection and testing. When it comes down to the right-of-way acquisition, the EDC does not apply. So that is 80-20. And the county is on the hook for 20% of the cost.
Since EDC is state funds, the state cannot by law put money into buying property. That's not state property. So that's why the EDC doesn't apply to right-of-way.
Right. It would have been great if they could, but exactly for that, Texas legislature does not allow state funds to buy property that does not belong to the state. So they cannot contribute. But they do contribute for construction, but on right-of-way is 80-20. So Hidalgo County is about to execute a large agreement with TxDOT saying the county will pay 20% of the right-of-way. We're glad we have the 80% federal funds from MPO. And the county will pay 3 or 4% of the construction and construction engineering. And that is going to become formalized by April. And environmental, the TxDOT is committing to accelerate it and give it to us by summer. So then the county can begin acquisition of the 100 parcels, which probably close to 2 years.
Yes.
Because acquisition of right-of-way, let me just mention one other thing. Because we're under the mandate of federal funds, it has to come under what is referred to of the Uniform Act of the 1970, Title II and Title III. And these federal requirements, there's a lot of due process to the property owners. It's a slow process, but it's a very fair process. It does not force the property owners to do things. Yes, of course, the power of eminent domain is there, but it goes through a lot of giving opportunities, administrative settlements, so the...
So it's a form of an agreement, basically, what you're saying.
Yes,
I mean,
and to make sure that the public are treated fairly.
Because you will get the calls.
No, I know,
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
Oh.
Now, I am old enough to remember with TxDOT, by the way, I put in well over 30-some-odd years with TxDOT, but I remember where TxDOT was a one-offer agency. And now this is kind of this is many years ago, but it was, what that meant is that I will send you an offer and you have two choices. You either accept it or you don't accept it. And if you don't accept it, I will just take your land.
Exactly.
And then we can go to lawsuits and what have you. I need to build the road. So, but that has changed. Now you give the property owner a due process. You say, well, why do you disagree with the price? And they can come back, and there is a process called administrative settlement. The reason I'm saying all of that detail is that when you're dealing with 100 different families or property owners, and you're going that, it takes time. Yes, estimated right-of-way cost for Section 1 right now sits at $4.5 million, and for Section 2 is $1 million. So right now, we're looking at $5.5 million combined.
We have been doing this for other cities, county, for the last 15 years. And the issue is buy it and get that 80% reimbursed. So far, the last 15, 20 years, we haven't, everything has always been reimbursed. But there's a lot of federal, it's a gauntlet, as Bays explained. So, and of course, the cities, you've seen, I mean, we refer back to Mission, a lot of those projects over there built, et cetera. Those, they're constantly getting the calls and we're addressing them. But we try to, the appraisals and review appraisals, as much money as is legally possible to give them so that you don't get those phone calls. So that'll be happening, and of course, they're gonna be calling your office and Commissioner Cantu's office. But, we've been at it, and we're buying anywhere between 50 to 75 per year parcels.
Yes.
So that's what it, because you're dealing with families and condemnations and et cetera. So just FYI, it's not something that, is new.
We keep the eminent domain to absolute minimum, even though that power is there, but good faith negotiations is the name of the game.
That's part of the administrative process.
Yes.
And I think one of the most important things is where we usually have issues is when we have relocations. We're working at precinct 2, we've got 4 MPO projects that we're concurrently working on. And on some of them, we've had to do, or begin the process of relocation. Those are a little more complicated. Those are going to get a lot more calls on. Although I believe that the process is fair because on that one, they're not just going to give you fair market value. They're going to relocate you and cover that expense. I think what's important to note on this particular project is that we're not going to be doing, on the San Juan side, we will not be doing any relocations. And I think that one of the biggest sells that we're going to be able to give, and I'll tell you all because this is the answer that we're going to give at precinct 2, specifically on the San Juan side, but also on the Alamo side, is that additional right-of-way that we're going to be taking is going to really, really help increase the drainage. And as you all are well aware, we don't have a very good drainage system, particularly as we get from like Sergeant Trevino North. It just really isn't a good drainage system. With this road comes a state-of-the-art, top of the line drainage system, storm sewer system, where we're able to get the water off the road, keep the water out of people's houses, and get the water out of here. So one of the biggest components of this project, aside from going to, in some cases, 6 environment, is that we're going to be having probably, as you all know, we only have 2 north and south drainage systems, and one of them really isn't the drainage system, it's irrigation canals. We only have 1. This will be the second largest north-south drainage system in the city, and it's going to be able to not only help drain the road, but all those subdivisions that enter into Cesar Chavez are going to be able to tie into that, and I think it's going to really help move water out and keep water going. And so I think that the drainage investment of this project is as important as the added lanes as well.
Well, mostly that project from 83 to Rich Road, you have a lot of land open, so you don't really have relocations. And if you have relocations, it's more about fencing.
Right.
And the property owners to be satisfied, because a lot of times it's like you offer me so much and I always think that it's worth more. And, and there's where they kind of, right, exactly. It's not, and that's where the issues will be. Because the project having drained, having a better road than what you got right now, that has a whole bunch of holes, you're just going to improve it like 100%. So I don't think so that you'll have a lot of resistance, but you always anticipate because of the value of the property and making sure that those residents are happy. So
One of the big things besides the drainage is the additional lanes. We've met with a bunch of property owners, through this process. They come in, look at the maps, and especially north of the expressway, you've got those subdivisions and you've got 2 lanes. So all of a sudden the car basically stops, wants to turn. You got a lot of rear end accidents. And so one of the big things that they're super excited about is, okay, now I've got shoulder, now I got another lane, I can safely turn, I got a left turn lane. It's been a big, everybody that's come in to look and talk about this project has been super excited.
In addition, all the intersecting county, city streets, we're providing for right turn and left turn movements, not just, just go to an intersection without addressing the east-west from the cities and the county. He's providing for the right turns and left turn lanes. So, and that is something that the county commissioner wanted to make sure that it's not, because TxDOT, what they'll do is they'll do their projects. Their job is their projects. And when it's our projects, when I say our, the county cities, we look at, it's our project, but the side streets are also our project. So, all those intersections are being addressed. And you can see that on the schematic. I hope that you all have a schematic here, so in case people ask, and if not, we'll certainly make one available.
That should be imminent. It's been submitted, I hate to keep throwing TxDOT under the bus,
They're
but
just behind, take stuff.
it was submitted months and months ago.
Yeah.
But Pete or Pete Alvarez, the district engineer, has talked about, once this AFA gets done, we will make sure that everything gets processed.
Do you have a copy of that schematic, the one that was presented at the public meeting? Because if not, obviously, you all should
I
have it.
don't.
And that way you all can
I'll be
see
happy
it.
to, I can provide it
Can give you a roll plot tomorrow?
small size, and so for each of you to have, and then we'll give the big roll plot, and I'll give it to them so we can have it, or to Robert so they can have it.
And also print it out. We can print it out also on
In
a
case
big
somebody
one.
asks, you can just, you have
Copy of it as well.
a picture.
Anyway,
Sidewalks?
sidewalk throughout the
yes,
project.
Yes, throughout.
Throughout the 3.5 miles of sidewalk on both
On
sides of the
both
road.
sides, yes.
And so that you all know, every MPO project. Yes,
Oh, yes.
so you know, on every MPO project, he's insistent on sidewalks on both sides. So that when we come back at a future date to discuss the Nolana's project, you know that on Nolana, we're gonna go from Raúl way up to 907 to Alamo, and we'll have sidewalks throughout on both sides. And that's just one of the things, going along with the mentality, hike and bike, all that, making it walkable, making it rideable.
88 ramps at every intersection, they work.
So that's the plan. As soon as this environmental gets cleared this summer, we'll begin the acquisition. It's important not to have unrealistic expectations. 100 parcels is gonna take about a couple of years. It's gonna take 2 years. Because what I just explained, we never go into a project saying, well, it'll be done in 6 months or 4 months. Well, that's not the case. So that's why we put on there in a couple of years, 2021, we should have it all.
We will come here and give you an update, how many have been bought, how many are going to condemnation, and are we staying on schedule or not, so that you all stay abreast. This job is intended to be in 2 projects, and believe me, Bay will normally be, can we let 2 miles at a time? And in an effort to see progress, because you all want to see this, commission wants to see this, so, but it's not easy to, people don't, they have.
Yeah, so we're at the mercy of the property owners, pretty much.
If you don't treat the property
And-
with
and-
respect, they're just gonna come back to you. So-
Yeah, so it's
But we will
just,
give you an update so that you all will inform.
Absolutely.
But when you say that it's 100 parcels,
Yes.
that's the whole combined
Yes.
thing. So that means that if you're doing it in 2 sections,
Yes.
you're gonna start with the Rich Road to 83, and that you're gonna get away with those 30 or 40 parcels. That means that project starts before, even though you don't have the 100 parcels done?
Yeah, that
Well,
would be,
what we'll do once we get there, once we have the environmental clearance and we have title commitments from the title company, we need to look at them and to see, are the titles cloudy or are they easy to acquire? Because in some projects, I'm not gonna name the projects, but some projects, we've looked at it and every parcel has got 5 or 6 pages, every parcel. Liens, the bank, the IRS, the
City.
Title
city,
support
all
city.
that. And so you look, and all of that has to be clear, you have to get clearances, and you're looking at it, and the offer is a $1,000 offer to buy a little piece of land, but it's gonna take 6 months to clear it. So if the most of the parcel are that complicated, we may want to push that section to the side and do a section maybe that's got a little bit less encumbrances. Title work can get really, I mean, the property owner agrees. A lot of times property owner says, I agree with the price.
But
But then-
they don't know that they have a lien against them for a certain
Exactly.
reason.
That's
Or
right.
it might be taxes and they still got a lien on it.
Or the
because-
ownership,
So they
the
cannot sell
family.
and clean that,
Yes.
that lien out.
As you know, all this area used to be farmland, and so there's a lot of irrigation lines. And the irrigation districts have their own property rights. So we have to make sure that, well, if you're gonna move them, it takes, well, they also have condemnation rights. And so we will be working on it. The main thing is to come give you an update. This project, the key is you're constantly working on it and then try to determine, can you let this section or that section first? And as Bay was indicating a minute ago, we will certainly work with you all, work with the commissioners, and we're just doing the work, but, the directive is by you all's agreement, and we're doing whatever.
So you guys have already made contact with every property owner? And,
Just for the purpose of the public meeting.
Just
Okay,
public meeting,
okay.
Because
Yeah.
really, we cannot until this environmental.
exactly, yeah, no, I know
Otherwise,
that.
we'll jeopardize the funds,
Yeah,
so
it needs to
got
get,
this process.
it needs to get clear. So that's why TxDOT is under pressure from the commissioner, and I'll say that because they are, is to, you have everything you need. Of course, TxDOT is saying, well, we're busy with other jobs.
Gotcha.
If I could just, I know, David, you wanted to ask a question?
At the design stage, once we get to doing the PSNE, where the elevations are becoming finalized and we know what utilities are in conflict, is when, we're gonna try to avoid your utility conflicts.
You're bringing up a very good point, because in addition to all this, and we're gonna build the road, and if you have irrigation, well, that's part of the right-of-way acquisition cost. If you've got some high-pressure gas lines, well, that's part of the right-of-way, and it's at 20%, and we've got this money at the MPO, and the county's gonna pay. But your costs are going to be your city.
City-owned
water.
utilities.
And there are a lot of projects that have been stopped because of that. The cities don't have the budget to adjust these water and sewer lines. Of course, we don't know what Bay just pointed out. We don't know exactly until we do the final designs, but you can't do final, we haven't done the final designs yet to be able to, we gotta adjust this one and that one. But we have to work with you, so are you gonna be able to have to budget the adjustment of your water and sewer lines? Should they have to be adjusted, if anything?
Talking of letting us, sorry.
Yes, yes, of course, but utilities haven't been tied down in the field, as far as elevations and,
Believe
all
me,
of that.
you'll get sick of us, because once we start designing,
yeah,
we'll
we're gonna
we'll
be
be talking with you.
One thing to remember,
I understand,
though-
but you're talking about letting this project out. Sorry, where'd I write that down?
2021.
2021, yeah, so I just need to make sure they hear that.
Sure.
So when I come in 2019 and 20, at the end of this year to request the funding,
budgets.
they're aware
Well,
of it.
what he's saying is, we gotta start already in budgeting it,
At
and
the end
put
of
every
this
year
year.
something, so
Yes.
when it comes to, it does not delay, because we're not ready to fund the utility movement or whatever.
Oh, no, I've been working, I got the schematics. I've been looking at the schematics for about 2 years now, and that's what I'm saying, the schematics don't show the proposed alignment, so it says there's gonna be some drains there, but it doesn't show the proposed alignment of storm and stuff like that, and then I have proposed projects for future, force mains that I need to put in the ground now, so I don't come back and rip up the deal, because just like it's tight to get the right-of-ways, it's gonna be even tighter for me to get easements, so.
Just like, it needs to be budgeted in time.
What about the compensable utility aspect? Can you expand on that?
Very good point. If during the acquisition, we come across a utility that has its own property rights, that is sitting its own easement and has its own property rights, and it's within the proposed right-of-way, that would be considered a compensable utility. And that compensable utility will get 80% federal funds. But utilities that are just city-owned, sitting in your property, not a penny can be spent from federal money. It's against the rules to pay for utility adjustments that are not, meet the definition of a compensable line. So if you have a city-owned water line, city-owned sanitary sewer line, it's there, it's in your right-of-way, it's in the city right-of-way, it's not gonna be eligible.
We're
City needs to
responsible
pay
for it, yeah, yes.
And one of the first things we'll do, Mayor, is as soon as we get released from the county and to start the design, our first phone calls are to you. Let's sit down, show us, your system maps. We'll identify them. When we're doing our storm sewer design, we're doing that. We take all that into account, and it's a lot of back and forth. And we can give you preliminary numbers, so that way you can come to the commission and talk budgets and monies and stuff.
Right now, the county has authorized us, as well as you all, coordinating with them, to do the environmental clearance schematics, make sure that the MPO, all the funds is there. The second page is the PSNE. They're about to release us on the PSNE, but of course, they are, as you are, cautious with your money, so everything's lined up. Okay, now I'm gonna give you the PSNE. When we start doing that plan specs and estimates and the detail work, surveys, right-of-way maps, then we're gonna be coordinating with you at that same time. So if we stay on track, that should be happening pretty quick. We should then, start the designs, the right-of-way, how many people we're gonna take, how many compensable, which will need to be adjusted, and then that way you can start budgeting. But we've got a 2-year process and but we gotta, like I said, we'll come over and give you updates. It's, just the nature of the
I think
game.
that's gonna be important too, that, we will offer to come at your request, but at any time, I'm sure all you know how to get a hold of me. We can come and do a periodic report. We've done this a couple of times already now, and it's important, as they were all mentioning, is you're gonna start getting the calls. I typically get anywhere from 2 to 3 phone calls a week right now on this project, because as you can imagine, from one stretch to the next, there's a lot of interested parties. Robert McChesson has communicated, for example, with the owners of the Murphy gas station. They're looking at what impact it's gonna have on them. We had a lot of back and forth on that. But as it starts ramping up, as we start, specifically the right acquisition, that's when you're gonna start getting more phone calls. And it'll be important for us to give you the information that you need to be able to respond to that and explain to them. But as you mentioned, we had, of course, participation at public meeting. We also got, and letters. And I can tell you, and it's not very common, but we didn't get one single negative comment. The only, más o menos, and I'm not gonna call it negative, but the only comment is, can you start now? That was everybody's biggest thing, can you start?
I do want to just emphasize one more thing. We at LNG Engineering are doing many, many parcels right now under federal rules. It's very important to have respect for property owners and their land, and that reduces the number of eminent domains. It just makes the working relationship better. Now, sometimes we do come across a property owner that, regardless of how much this individual, just feels like instead of $5,000, you need to pay me $50,000. And at some point, we have no choice but to take it to the eminent domain and let the special commissioners decide. But we try to avoid that. That keeps out the complaints from the city to the county or what have you.
The main thing is that we're buying properties in Wesco, Mission, McAllen, the counties, and so they're calling, but normally they refer them to you, talk to us, 'cause we gotta stay within the boundaries of the law. And you may ask some of your other peers, or that you guys work with other cities, because we are doing, and have been doing this for the last 15, 20 years for them. The only other agency that's been buying for TxDOT is pretty much TxDOT, and Otherwise, it's been us buying for some of these local projects.
But most of like, if you look at the property owners, there's projects that you do, they don't have to go through the domain to.
Oh, absolutely, most
You
of
know,
the
and when we
parcels,
compare
yes.
to McAllen, well, you got people that in McAllen, you know, they have a good road, they just, you're gonna widen it. In our situation here, we have hardly a road that, it's gonna be a big improve that I don't think so you're gonna go to the domain that much, or if there's one possible, mainly, and maybe if you have some trouble, it's gonna be from 83 to the expressway, just because, you know, Murphy, and you know that Murphy has the money to say, hey, that's not right. But at the same time, Walmart is looking at like, hey, you're going to improve my business here because the access is just going to be perfect, you know. And from there on, you don't have that much people that, the district is not going to try and interfere in the corner. They don't do that. So, and, you know, yeah.
Once the project starts, if, you know, you're looking at if it's all led together, if it's the entire 3.6 miles, I would say 2.5 years. Yes, yeah.
I know Mr. Garcia asked, that was correct, so if we acquire a certain amount, or, I was here, where the group gets acquire a certain amount of miles, they'll start.
Well, okay.
Cut it
No,
up in
we
sections.
need to be careful on that because it needs to be a logical, for example, if we can go maybe from one major intersection to another major intersection, yes, we can do that. We're going to have to separate the projects. We have to get with the MPO. We have to separate agreements. We have to, yes, it's a possibility. It can be done. Yes.
But all things being equal, to your point, if we do acquire all the right-of-way for, let's say, the business to Ridge, theoretically, that section, yes.
That can
Could
be
be-
definitely
could
done by
be-
itself.
That project number 2 would get done a lot faster.
Yes.
Before
Oh,
you
yes.
Exactly.
even start project number 1.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
You know,
And
by
it's
that
already
time-
a project.
By that time, you already will almost be acquiring
Yes.
the
Yes.
other section to begin the process, you know.
Yes.
Now, remember that if we're buying right away, which we are, and you still have to adjust the utility to the newly bought right away. Because if not, the last thing we want is that there are delays for the contractor, and we've run into that situation before where the utilities weren't adjusted, the contractor wants to claim. And so we've only had one situation, it happened to us over in Mission, in Mile 2. And so we want to work with you all because we want to let it where it is not going to then create a delay construction cost for the county or yourselves. And so we'll be discussing it with you for that. And that way, because you'll have to move, and, you know, you want to move ahead of their schedule. Ideally, you know, who's ever relocating them, because you're going to want it as fast as possible. You want to show progress. But at the same time, we need to get a contractor on board and get it relocated, unless you're going to do it yourself.
No, it's gonna be contracted. Last comment, do you guys have a proposed alignment for utilities? Who's taking
Have
the
definitely a proposed alignment for the roadway.
He's talking
Yeah,
about.
no, no, I'm not talking about- I mean-
1 foot line.
power line?
No.
Power line taking the foot,
It'll be
the
your
second,
property,
third?
so that would be something where you're deciding.
As you know, 9 times out of 10, the power company does take the 1 foot.
The 1 foot, yeah.
Yeah, the poles.
But
are-
other than that,
Okay, as long as we stick with those alignments, I'm fine. Second, I have a current ongoing project at Cesar Chavez and the expressway right now. What's happening to the south section there? Because I'm extending,
Plans so that he can incorporate them and make sure that.
yeah,
see how we're gonna
I
work
can
with
have, if you guys give me a business card, I can have Perez submit. I'm putting a 16-inch water main right now underneath the expressway. But it's coming in right there at the bank. You guys just widened this thing to 6 lanes on that side, so I'm assuming Murphy's gonna give you heck on the other side. So you're gonna go to the west, and that's where my line's coming in. So I need to know if I need to make a change right now, make it right now. Okay. I know, but I need to know that alignment, because I really don't want to pay this guy right now.
Alignment wise, but
Yeah.
that's really important
Yeah.
to know, because the decision of where right-of-way is,
Yeah.
proposed right-of-way, that's already made.
Yeah.
That's not changing.
That's it.
The
Well, that's what I need to know, because right now, I'm coming in, and based on what I just saw on this, it looks like I'm gonna be right.
We'll coordinate.
Yeah.
We need to coordinate.
Yeah, we need to do it now, because
Yeah.
I got this project ongoing right now.
Because
Okay,
the reason
all right.
I'm saying that, we do come, like, once we get environmental clearance, we do get sometimes requests from property owners to say, well, why don't you move it to the other side? Okay, that, I'm sorry,
was
that's not,
something-
gonna- nothing is gonna change.
That conversation is over here.
This is over. Yeah, but, over there, if you go over there, we're not gonna go anywhere else. This has been environmentally clear. What that means is that that's why there is power of eminent domain to take the land that has been environmentally cleared, period. You're not gonna change it. I think it's 15 feet.
It's
Yeah, it's not the
varying.
typical
It's
section.
identified in the schematic, but it is varying, and it is,
From the back of curb is 14.
14 feet.
14 feet, that's on the area, where the 6 lane is.
Yeah, that's what he was asking about.
That
So
allows
that-
a lot of room for utilities. Usually we do with 8 feet.
Well,
So
I
14
understand that, but I already have a set alignment where that casing has, 90% of the casing's already been installed. Yes.
So if that's the
So,
case.
but we went off of the
Then we-
schematics I got back then when I was designing, before you guys added these additional lanes.
Before the 100.
Yes. So I need to see whatever revisions you did, so I can give it to my
Well,
engineer
the-
right
the
now,
good
so
thing
if I
that
need to
this
make
is a-
changes.
This,
We'll get with you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes.
No, for sure.
Yeah, we need to look at.
No,
detail.
we will, sure, we sure will.
Thank you.
Sir.
The good thing is this is off-system, so sometimes we can make some accommodations.
A lot more than if it's.
Then if it was a state road, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a state road, you really can't be under the road period anywhere,
Yeah.
so.
That would be like 1426.
Yeah.
But we're only at 5 feet deep, because they let me open cut. I didn't have to bore, so I'm good, so.
You just have to try to design our storm sewers around you. That's what we're trying.
Any other questions for these gentlemen? If not, we're good. Thank you so much, Bobby. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll talk about this tomorrow.
I didn't think he was gonna send the letter. Can't have that.
Thank you so much, sir. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Anytime all
Thank
need
you.
us back, just let us know.
Thank you, sir.
Should we continue?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
So we'll continue. Thank you, sir. I know that the relocation of lines and all that is going to be under your dime, so thank you, sir.
And it was funny, we already have it written in stone, because if we change it now, we don't get the federal funding.
Right, okay.
We're stuck with it now.
No, but thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you, Mondo.
Mayor Commissioners, the next item that we have is a street paving project Phase 3. As you know, we did the Phase 1, we just finished the second phase. Now we're coming into the third phase, which is roughly about $1 million worth of paving improvements. Out of the $1 million, we need to take it off, I'll say about maybe 15% away from that because of the engineering cost and the testing. So one of the things that I did was I included in your packet the list of streets that we currently have, the ones that were issued out, from the very beginning. I highlighted them, identified them as best as I could, which is the Phase 1, the Phase 2s, and the ones that are in serious condition. Pretty much all of them are already done. Lucky Drive, which is on the Phil Street, I really don't understand why that one is there. That one is in very good condition. That's the one that leads over to Eldora. unless maybe this is another road, but that's the one that I saw. This is the one that is going to the school, and I forget the name of that school. I don't know if it's Arnold Cantu Schools or one of those. But that street is in very good shape. You know, unless I'm mistaken that it's probably a different road. But I saw it, I went over, it's in very good shape. So I don't know really why it was there as one of the failed ones. So that's why, maybe that's the reason why it was never touched, it was never done any work to it. But if we follow the ones that are next, the very poor, this is the ones that we're gonna come over and present to you all as to our recommended streets for the third phase. Now, it doesn't mean that these are the ones that are going to get repaved. You can take it and make a recommendation as well, like, you know what, maybe this street that you saw is not as bad as the other one that is on the other subdivision or whatnot. But this is something that we're gonna bring back on another meeting. If it's not the next meeting, it'll probably be the one after. Right. But I like to, just so you'll see it, and in the very bottom where it says very poor, that's más o menos an estimated amount as to what we're looking at as far as paying. Typically, the numbers that we have here are a little bit high because they were very conservative on that. You don't have a copy of that, sir? Oh, the one which says very poor on the top? And on the bottom, it's got the figures. It's an estimated. And they're just an estimate. It's not the concrete numbers. We still need to bid it out, and that's when they'll give us a more accurate number. So with your permission, I'd like to just present to you all that this is what we're going to be bringing back. Yeah, the copies were not coming very, very good, but I can give you this one. I'll give.
Mr. Arjona, going back to Lucky Drive, you said, is it Lucky Drive's on the east or west of Elora?
That's on the east.
East.
So as you're going north, right before,
Yeah, I think it's on the west.
No, it's on the west. Yeah.
I have a feeling this is that private road.
Yeah, it is.
When-
It's that
when
one.
the students were doing this, I don't think they were advised that the road that goes south is Lucky as well, but it's a private road. And that's how I'm feeling,
the
that's
other
why
one
it's
is the
on.
one that is cities.
Yes.
The one on the right.
Yes.
Yeah, because Lucky Road's on the west.
Lucky
You're-
Road's on the west.
You're right,
Yeah,
right
we-
off of Dora.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
it's Charter Road.
Yeah, because we just put sewer in that area, so, but I have
that's a
feeling
private
this-
one.
This
That's
is
not
the
a
private
city's
road,
road.
correct. Yeah,
Okay.
that's not the city's. It's a dirt caliche road. Because the one to the north, Lucky, the rest of Lucky Road, that was done in,
When the subdivision was.
no, it was done in 2000. When they did all the sewer, they
Right.
repaved the street,
Okay.
back when they did the EDAP project, so the streets were paved back then. So-
Lucky Drive does run both north and south of Eldora.
The south one is.
Right, it doesn't belong to us, but the
Correct.
north side is.
The north side is
it's in good condition.
Yes. It may need some crack sealing and that kind of stuff, the annual maintenance, because it's already over 10 years old. But it's still,
So we'll have about a month. We'll have about a month before it comes to us.
Yes.
Right.
And also what we included on the packet is where it says paving improvement phase 1. It's highlighted that the streets that were completed. You also have the phase 2, and I also included the urban county ones for years 17 and 18, and the one that is coming on the 19, just for your info. As we know, the one that is right behind the Easy Mart, that one was already given the notice to proceed. They were waiting on the sign, yes, they were waiting on the sign has already been put up. I'm assuming within the next, maybe by next week, we'll start seeing some mobilization in there.
And this is that's just basically an overlay, right?
no, it's total reconstruction.
Total reconstruction.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And there's no drain improvements or anything like that?
No, it's just.
Because I know that is the highest point of the city.
They're replacing some covers.
Yeah,
'cause
that's
they're-
it?
They're pretty beat up, but that's it.
Okay, no, good.
I don't know if you have any questions, concern on the
Pretty
streets?
good, man. So we'll come back and just
Yes.
kind of touch base on every, okay. What else?
We'll bring it, not the next meeting, but the following meeting.
Sounds good. Any questions for Mr. Arjona at this time under the street paving project Phase 3? Coach? No questions in reference to Phase 3? Streets, you good? Okay, go ahead.
And then the next one is under citizen collection, drop-off site and the recycling center. I know that we've been talking about the recycling center and the drop-off site. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. That's where the old dumps that used to be, that we got a TCQ violation. We applied with TCQ, we were allowed to have a citizen collection site. We're talking to TCQ and maybe make it a little bit dual purpose. And one of the things that we want to do is improve and maybe put some, what do you call those, roll-off containers, so that people can come in and then throw, dispose of their trash or brush or whatever the case may be. And also one of the things that we were envisioning is where the recycling center is at, maybe putting in centralize it in a way that we can have our drop-off location and also the recycling center at the same place, and we will do away with the recycling on this side. Now, that does not mean that we will have any recycling, what do you call those, containers, bins, or whatnot. We can still put them there, but those will be one of those that will be portable ones. We can put them there, maybe at the police department, maybe at the fire department, station them at different places. But the main one, our thing is that maybe, if you're okay with us, maybe allowing us to look into centralizing it on the south side. So, Mr. Garza, you'd like to elaborate on that?
I think it's a great preliminary layout, but it will give us a lot of room for future use also. There's a lot of area in the back for maybe future parking for our sanitation trucks. Also, it's going to be very accessible to the public. We'll have like an open 24-hour, just like FAR has on 495, where they can go and drop off the recycling material at any time of the day. We can have that along Hall Acres Road, where they just drop off and put stuff in the respective recycling containers. So I think it's a very good project. And
this location is the one that is right next to the shooting range.
Correct.
And what he's talking about, maybe like lipping it inside, so where it says Hall Acres and the other entrance, maybe bring it inside so that cars can come in and dispose of their recyclables on those bins, containers that we may have on the inside of that fence, and it'll be open throughout the day, and it will close it at after hours. And this is something very similar that the city of FAR, city of McAllen has. And we're just trying to make it more accessible to the people, to the public on weekends, during the days, so that they can just drive in, dispose of the plastic, paper, cardboard, whatever the case may be. Yes, sir. Now, the pathway that it looks like here, we're looking at maybe half of it. If you look at it, the proposal is pretty much all concrete, so that's going to be a little bit kind of like up there on the money. But we're talking about maybe doing it in phases, maybe like in a couple of phases. Do half of it first and then the other half later. Just enough that'll give us enough space for the heavy vehicles to go in and make their turns to go out. But this is something that we continue going to be working on it, and then we'll bring it before you all with a recommendation and your.
recycling center, which you have your offices there and maybe an educational room. At the end of I guess in future use, we can have students come in and visit the recycling center. But like Mr. Juan said, it can be very accessible for the public. The building will include a bay for the baler and the forklift they have and our sandbags.
And the foundation will be asphalt, you're looking into concrete?
Concrete.
Yeah.
Have also, roll-offs for their specific for metal, for brush. It'll be a brush drop-off site for tires.
For all the commercial trucks that you got back there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're better off.
I think it'll be more expensive, but in the long run, it'll be more beneficial. It'll last a lot longer than having asphalt.
What about, I don't know if I'm going off, but looking into, did you ever get a quote as far as asphalt for the sanitation department in the back? Did you ever look into that?
He's currently working on that.
Okay.
Repaving it, maybe not necessarily just asphalt, but also concrete as well.
Okay.
I think
Also need on the sanitation side, on the back side, we need to, I know this is road, right?
Okay.
You good? We good? Any other questions, gentlemen? Nope.
Okay, sounds like a good thing for you guys, so that we can start maybe getting a proposal together and then bring it before you all. Sure. And we'll try to do it at the, maybe hopefully by the next, the meeting after next. Hopefully we can get some figures and more accurate proposals so that we can bring them before you all for consideration. And then the last one is, it's one of the ones that I like to say that there's surplus monies, but it's not necessarily surplus monies. We just have a little bit, that's a number, that's a term that Mr. Solis doesn't really like to see here. Huh? Yeah,
Glad you saved that to the end, right?
right. But there's, according to Mr. Leroy, we have about maybe $3 million that we need to, that would like to spend on projects that are needed within the utilities department. And one of them, as you know, we went into the lawsuit with the water tower, and there's some maintenance that is needed to be doing manually, labor work on the existing water tower. So there's several recommendations that, or maybe there's a recommendation that Mr. Salinas is going to be offering. And again, we'll bring it back hopefully at the meeting after next.
What about it? Huh?
So, I guess to make it kind of quick and short, Mr. Salinas, can you start with
Make it pretty quick. Of course, all of you are aware of the lawsuit that we had with Meldon and Hunt because of the tower being a lot taller than the other. The graph that I gave you, the 11 by 17 page, shows the different elevations of the towers. As you can see, most of them have the same base elevation except for the north tower. We do have a proposal, and the other sheet that I gave you is what we're actually proposing, is as a way to get it done quicker, save some time, save some money, is raise the existing tower by approximately 12 feet to try to match the level for the new tower. That'll give us additional capacity, but it'll also allow us to use all three towers on the same pressure plane, which they're not right now. Right now, if the other two towers are full, in order for them to continue to operate, we're only using about 37% at max of the other tower's capacity. So that tower is an 11 million gallon tank, so we're not using the whole 11 million gallons off of it. So by doing this, we'll be able to use almost 100% of that tower, not exactly 100%, but we'll also get additional revenue, additional capacity of the towers. We do have a verbal commitment a verbal price from the vendors that are currently doing the maintenance on our towers, the contract that we signed last year, for just north of $500,000 to raise both of those towers. We do have a price. Of course, the next one is to build another tower, demo the two existing ones, and build the other tower to match the new tower at the same elevation, which will make them work. The numbers that we have, they haven't been revised, but those are numbers from back in 2013, which are $3.9 million to build a new tower and demo the other two, the two metal towers. Now, numbers from Donna for the tower they just built off of the expressway is about $1.9 million for that one. The one that FAR just finished along 281, that one's about $1.9 million as well. Those are built by Phoenix, different company than the other ones, but those are options that we need to address. The two metal towers have compliance issues with TCEQ. We did submit a plan to try to address that based on the lawsuit that we had. The lawsuit has now been finished. So TCEQ did come in on Tuesday. We did have an inspection, and that's one of the things that's going to come in the letter that they're going to send is they want us to finish the maintenance on the towers by March of 2019. And one of the recommendations that I'm going to propose to the city manager is we have a quote from McGuire Iron, who is the company that does our maintenance on the towers, to do a chemical wash and paint both of those towers for $47,000. That'll get TCQ off our site because it's going to address the rust issues on the outside of the towers, and that's one of their main concerns. We're currently working on the south tower, which is the one on 6th Street, where there was a lot of pitting, a lot of rust on the inside of the tower, which that's already been taken care of. In fact, they're working on that today. Hopefully, it'll get done here by the next couple of weeks. But There is a letter that's going to come addressed to you from TCQ from this last compliance investigation that is going to ask us for a drop-dead timeline on what we plan to do with these towers. But they do want us to address whatever maintenance we're doing to them by March. That's a comment that he made verbally at the...
Around the corner, man. March?
Yeah, it's around the corner, yes. And the reason being is because we did follow the plan back in 2014, before I came on board. We did try to amend the plan. They never responded, but I'm assuming that's why they didn't respond. They were waiting for us to see what we were going to do at the 3-year period, which came and went, which actually was last year. So based on the verbal comment that was made by Mr. Nelson, and of course, as Mr. Nelson, he's only the investigator. We still have time to reply to the executive director to get additional time for compliance, because there's still some work that needs to be done to these towers. If we do plan to raise them, we have to do structural on the base to make sure that they can take the additional weight and the additional height on that. So this is one of the priorities that I would like to use that funding available to fix those towers. Or if we're gonna do the new tower, then we need to start doing it now.
$500,000 to raise 2 towers, correct?
Correct.
$500,000, 2 towers, and one cost 1.9. So if you do the tower plus the renovation of these, that would be $2.5 million, correct? So right now, the cost effective as far as keeping this tower clean, because obviously it takes maintenance because we're not using the capacity, right?
Correct.
So we have to, will that
We just
reduce the cost as far as trying to keep it clean? We're using full capacity, or
no. The sediment's going to settle in the tank because it's just a matter of the water. In fact, the tank has been in place since at the end of 2010, 11. We just removed about a 1/4 inch of sediment at the bottom of it. They just did it this at the beginning of January.
So you'll be using it full capacity. The maintenance-wise will be less, or will be more?
It'd be less because it's full of water all the time, so there's less rust on the sides of the walls.
Eventually, we're going to
Correct.
Now, this is a question now. These towers, and raise them up, is it going to only service what we have now, or is it, we're preparing for the future?
It'll add more capacity to it. We'll eventually have to build one in the future once it full build out. The service area that we have is a really small service area, unless we plan to buy some more CCN that I'm not aware about.
We'll be able to find 2.5 million for us to build one plus the other.
If we're going to build the other one, we don't need to rehab the other 2. It's one or the other. We can rehab the 2, raise them, get more capacity. With those 3, we'll have plenty of capacity to meet the current and future demands for like the next 10 years.
If we build the double.
If we raise the 2.
If we raise.
If we raise the 2,
So if we
Yeah.
built another one?
we'll have more than enough, because the other one will be 1 million gallons to meet that, so then we'll have 2 million gallons. The rule of thumb not the rule of thumb, the design requirements by the state is we have to have 100 gallons in storage per connection. So the more connections we get, the more storage we have to have. Right now, you want to calculate it? Right now we have,
So what would you think is the best proposal?
the quickest thing to do now to get TCQ off our back is paint them. Paint them. It's $47,000. They want to paint it because they're rusted on the outside. Yeah, no, we got to paint them. They got to get painted, so that's $47,000. That's something that we're going to have to make a decision right away. And probably March, basically, we're going to find out. Then we still need to do the analysis on raising the towers to make sure that the structural can support the additional height and weight of the additional water that's going to go into it. Because we're adding another 12 feet of capacity to each one of the towers.
And you need 12 feet for both of them, right?
Yes, we're going to do straight 12 feet. One of them needs a little bit more, but we don't want to.
Okay, if we raise those 2, so then with those 3 water towers, we can hold that for how many years?
For about, based on, at the current projected growth rate, about another 10 years. Yes. Yeah.
You still got to find out to see
If they even work. 'Cause remember, one of the towers was built in 1960. The other tower was built in 1985.
So we're going to determine to see if this is cost effective, or is it better just to build it all?
Yeah, and that's what, at the bare minimum, like I said, we need to pull the trigger on the 47,000 because we need to paint them.
Right.
Or we're going to start getting enforcement from TCQ because they've been putting that on the notice for like the past 3 years. Okay, well, you kid, but that can happen tomorrow because we currently have the crew on site that's working on the south tower. So if we were to authorize the change, we can have them pull the trigger and start doing that chemical.
It's under 50. Yeah, we can. Just
Yeah,
have
the
Mr.
thing I need to look at is that the contract is for a set amount, and we're gonna amend the
have a
contract.
contract.
Yes, we already have a contract.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to amend the.
If you're
we have-
having to amend the contract.
contract, so it needs to
yeah,
be-
then you have to bring it back.
Yes, I'll have to bring it back.
We
Yeah,
can bring
because
it
it's
at
over.
the, we can bring it the next meeting.
Park Tower's a new location.
You know, es tuyo.
Do we have to buy that?
Es tuyo.
We can sell these properties or
De
what?
la ciudad, no.
Tell them.
Yes, because he's saying that he has an existing contract, so obviously the contract was for a certain amount.
Yeah, and we already
And
did,
now you're gonna
we already
raise it
did an
another
amendment to
47,
that
so
contract.
You've got to bring it
Because
back.
of the emergency repairs that needed done to the tower that they're working on right now, that has all the pits. Yeah.
They got plenty of money.
Well, you also,
Most healthy is a cow.
well, you also have to remember, we just got a check for the settlement of that other
Yeah,
water
no.
tower to address the issues with this water tower. So-
Yeah, yeah, I'll bring it, I'll bring it back.
Now, I want to add another one. If we do build a new one, that property at the corner there on Santa Fe and Raul Longoria becomes prime commercial property because it's right there. And it's a substantially large property because remember, we got the donation of the lots that were next to it that were donated to us. So Santa Fe and Raul Longoria,
Right next to the post office.
right behind the post office, basically that whole block right there to the house belongs to the city. It's a good size. Yeah. So if that gets demoed,
Perfect
that's
spot.
perfect prime property. It can be sold at a substantial amount because it is prime real estate. So I just want to throw all that out there so you guys have all the options to look at it. One of the other projects, and I know we're in quick, and I didn't pass out this one yet, but we've been trying to pave the parking lot there at utilities for the past, I don't know how many years. And we're doing phase 3 of the paving. I'd like to see if we can add this to that project.
Yeah.
There's 2 different options.
We'll do.
Since the
We're back from executive session at 7:17 PM. Is there a motion to reconvene?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're back in, under executive session, under 8:1. At this time, we'll take no action. Right? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting has been adjourned at 7:18 PM. Thank you.